Okay, Monday, 10th of August 2026. So, Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. Instrumental appreciation of religion. So, this is one interesting, very subtle thing I've noticed with regards to human psychology and anthropology, we could say, that there's an interesting bell curve of people's, say, appetite for religion. That starts off, say, well, actually, the inverse bell curve, we could say, very willing, very appeasing towards it, very ingrained with it, because it's all they know is the culture, the society. That's all they live, all they have around them. So it's fully ingrained. But then over time, through dissatisfaction, ideas, or exploration, or understanding new things, and knowledge and experience, or whatever else, they become more atheistic or more secular, more religiously neutral, because whatever reason, dissatisfaction in some variety, so they don't like it as much. And the extreme of that would be something like militant atheism, where they argue against it in every single way, and by all means, they have valid points and all the rest. Both of them are valid in their own way for different reasons. Because on the other end of the bell curve, there's a regression. There's a regression which would be an appreciation for an instrumental appreciation of religion, meaning even though you might be opposed to it, systematically, metaphorically, literally, you name it, scientifically, you understand the dynamics behind it. You understand the, lack of better wording, the necessary evil behind it. You understand the utility. You're pragmatic to understand that in spite of this being whatever, this religion, whatever, in some fashion, you understand the utility behind it insofar as maintaining society, maintaining cohesion, maintaining identity, things like that. You understand the deeper reasons why why religion evolved in societies as a way to maintain cohesion, maintain identity, create a society, create a cohesive structure, as in like a codified way of living and life. You recognize that and you realize the utility behind that, because at a deeper level, and I did a video about this a year or something ago, called the Phoenix in You, meaning that you understand that if you were to get rid of religion in some people's eyes, in some people's identity, they would have an epistemic crash, meaning they risk being directionless, not knowing what to do, and that actually religion, evolutionary speaking, psychologically speaking, is actually what keeps them propped up, maintains their identity, gives them cohesion, gives them routine, gives them security, gives them ease of mind or peace of mind, things like that. You understand the meta pattern here is you understand the evolutionary need, the societal need, the humanistic desire and need for religion in some fashion. Monotheistic, polytheistic, it's immaterial, it's that structure, it's that way society is structured. Because obviously at one point, 10,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago, you name it, 200,000 years ago, the society, the tribe that was religious and had those practices and theories and codified ideas and oral tradition or whatever else, they had that slight edge over the ones that didn't have that. They had that slight, let's say, that cohesive advantage, the cohesive societal advantage that gave them the advantage over decades and over centuries and over generations, which resulted in that idea promulgating and becoming commonplace hundreds of thousands of years later. That's what really happens there. So then you realise actually there is utility behind this. So then you realise actually, well, of course, by all means, after criticism and whatever else, and critique and content, whatever else, book publishing, by all means, things like that, freedom of speech. But at the same time, you take a step back to think, this society needs this. The people here need it, whether they realise it or not, they need it. Almost like an anthropologist in the field looking at society and not getting involved, so to speak, but that's them. Or getting involved selectively for, say, keeping up appearances or ideas or fashion, or even participating in that cohesive ritual, cohesive society, meaning promulgating those ideas to be able to fit in themselves. Again, a bit pragmatic. If we take that logic, it could be Machiavellian and a bit cynical, but nonetheless. Understand that religion creates, and other things as well, but religion is a good example, create identity in society. And that society and humans need that for consistency and cohesion and getting along and building things. Even down to, say, languages, that's another tool that society uses for cohesion. Things like that. It's a very interesting anthropological concept to understand. And we can go deeper slightly to say, Religion solved several brutally difficult social problems, and anyone proposing to abolish it should first explain what institutions will perform those functions instead. Now, interesting, I had an interesting thesis months ago about the pragmatic pagan thesis that talks about how religion evolved to solve problems, societal problems, as in paganism, with regards to fertility or weather or clothes or good luck or the farm, things like that, which is what polytheism is with regards to the god of wine, the god of intelligence, the god of farmers, the god of blacksmiths, things like that, for survival. Again, over here, to maintain that society, to let it grow, to let it flourish. And the idea of being atheistic was totally unheard of. You might not believe in certain gods, or you might not want or care about them, but the idea of atheism in any fashion was impossible because the society, you could say the science and technology didn't open up those possible thoughts or schools of thought, but at the same time it was so embedded in society. Think Greek mythology and how the Greeks would have acted and functioned 2, 3, 4,000 years ago. It's that. And then you say, here's the Age of Enlightenment in the 1700s, Age of Reason, to questioning the status quo, questioning the church, and then you can go further, fast forward to today with regards to anthropology and psychology and evolutionary sciences. They think, well, we need this. Humans need that. And going into the future, 1,000 years from now, there'll be new ideas and ideologies and religions and whatever else that will help to create an identity. What did Jedi do? What did that do over the past 40, 30, 50 or so years with regards to creating communities and societies? Communities and societies, no matter how small or niche, nonetheless, humans need that social bond and that social cohesion. Again, a tribe, obviously, 200,000 years ago, were more socially cohesive and worked together more so, and that gave them a slight advantage that over decades and centuries and generations became very distinct, over 1,000 years, for example. So then we could say, humans probably evolved a very strong propensity for shared ritual, sacred values, group narratives, and moral communities. Religion is one extraordinarily successful cultural expression of that propensity. Like other things, there'll be other things out there that give people that cohesive society and bond. Gangs, for example, or communities online that gather around certain topics, certain themes, certain interests and genres. That kind of stuff is the exact same thing. Humans need that. That cohesive society to function. And we can go deeper to say that you could theorize and say that the bigger the society, the culture, or the bigger the country, perhaps, or the more the populated area is, the stronger the cohesive forces need to be to maintain that cohesion among 100 people versus 1,000 people versus 1,000,000 people versus 10 million people versus 20 million people, things like that. But I'm just guessing and speculating. But understand nonetheless, there's an interesting inverse bell curve. Very pro-religion, somewhat anti, maybe militant, but then being pragmatic. And we can see in life, we want to be clever, be smart, be pragmatic in life. That's probably the meta pattern at play here. The meta awareness, the meta signal to be pragmatic in life, not to get swept away by things and emotions, but to be logical and pragmatic, to say, in this society, this way of thinking, acting and believing or behaving is good, will get us far. But over here, it's a whole different idea. So we could say being adaptable with regards to business or communities and societies, knowing how to be socially calibrated and socially palatable, to get along and to be liked, be known, liked and trusted. But that's a bit of an adversarial route of way of thinking, because it kind of implies that you're going there and you're trying to weed your way into the society and culture. Or, again, you just know the area and you want to be more involved in society and get used to it, be adapted to it, be more welcomed in the society and culture and community. But nonetheless. Otherwise, Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. Subscribe for more, and you will see me tomorrow.